Good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode 279 of the On Air Advocate. Where at the On Air Advocate, we look to provide education, support, and empowerment for all of those with different abilities, mental and medical illnesses, and their caregivers. This morning, I am so excited as we are kicking off our VEDS Action Month Series. And I'm excited to also welcome Dr. Josephine Grima. She is the Chief Science Officer at the Marfan Foundation. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm
Josephine.
so glad to be here.
Yes. And I am so happy that you guys are the first series we are doing. I have not been on. I took a break during the summertime to work on our courses and our classes for the Honor Advocate. And you guys are the first series starting this fall and winter. So very excited to be able to get this information out. I know that the VEDS Action Month actually kicks off in October, but we are going to learn about it today. And then I think everybody will be prepared, right?
That,
To make some action starting October 1st.
that is correct. We want to use that month to spread as much awareness as we can for our community, and it gives our volunteers an opportunity to participate and do different activities to help with that.
Yes. And so before we dive into what VEDS is, because there are people that are hearing that word and not even knowing what that means, more of that description, where we are research wise, and all of that, and diving a little deeper, I would love for you to share with us how you got involved with the Marfan Foundation and, how you ended up being an advocate and driving awareness for this.
Correct. I started out my career as a research scientist, and I was with Rockefeller University in New York City. But I was there for 15 years doing basic research, molecular biology and cell biology, but it was in a different field. And it was a field that was very difficult to get funding in. And then I had this opportunity to work with this patient advocacy group. And I think use my scientific background in order to really help people. And I felt that I could make a much more bigger impact on patients by helping promote science and learning and, just being there for the patient populations that have rare diseases. And so I joined the Marfan Foundation almost 20 years ago. And I have been working to develop their research grant program. I work with all the medical professionals that are involved with the foundation. We have a professional advisory board that advise us all on health and management. We help prepare information for our website in lay terms. So we take all the difficult information so that the community can understand it. We have a scientific advisory board that we use to review grants because we fund probably close to $1 million a year in grants to help, further the research for connective tissue disorders that affect the aorta or the blood vessels and that dissect, and they're usually life-threatening disorders, and VEDS is one of those. And so the VEDS community has had a hard time of getting some information out there, and the Marfan Foundation had an opportunity to help this community come under our umbrella. And I have been working along with Katie Wright, the director of the VEDS Movement, to help set up all of those programs and research and get the community together using the structure that we had for the Marfan Foundation.
Now, when we talk about VEDS, your involvement, and obviously the VEDS kind of is under this umbrella, right, with the Marfan Foundation. And I know that that is obviously a rare, in the rare disease community. Do you know numbers wise about how many people suffer? I don't know if you know this statistically or not, and it's fine if you don't, but how many people actually, suffer from VEDS?
Right.
Approximately.
So we're thinking it's approximately 6,000 people may have VEDS worldwide.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It is very, very rare. Okay. Um,
Mhm.
and that's a global number. And I think, you know, there are many people that don't know that they have it, and that's one of the issues, is that because it's rare, it's not easily diagnosed. People don't know about it, and so there's a lot of people that may have it and don't learn about it until somebody in their family passes away unexpectedly.
Yes, and so when we talk about, and I know that you haven't given the full term for VEDS yet,
Mhm.
which we can kind of dive into. I'm wondering within that, the because obviously this is the vascular Ehlers-Danlos, syndrome. There is other types of Ehlers-Danlos, and so are those also under the Marfan Foundation?
No, so we try to concentrate mainly on vascular Ehlers-Danlos, because it is the one that is most closely associated with Marfan
Okay.
because of the effects on its arterial system. So Marfan is similar in that it has a weak aorta and it can rupture. And most of the physicians that would see Marfan patients would also see vascular Ehlers-Danlos people. All the other forms, there's many forms of vascular Ehlers-Danlos. No, many forms of Ehlers-Danlos
Ehlers-Danlos.
syndrome. There's probably, I think, 14 of them. And they are different in that they don't have this life-threatening arterial dissection factor. Okay, and that's what separates the two.
Okay.
Um, One
Okay.
is life-threatening compared to the rest of the forms.
Okay. And so let's jump backwards for a second and just kind of give the audience as a whole, like more of the definition and
Right,
the breakdown of VEDS.
right. So, vascular Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, or VEDS, is a connective tissue disorder. And what that means is connective tissue is sort of the glue in the body, holds cells together, provides strength. It is caused by a mutation in the collagen gene. So now collagen is all over your skin, all over your body. Okay. And
Mhm.
because of this mutation, what happens to the body is that the arteries are weakened or fragile. Okay.
Mhm.
And they can dissect or tear. They can tear or rupture at any point in time. So it doesn't really need to have, you don't have to have a traumatic event. It could be just all of a sudden you would get a dissection in one of your arteries, you're feeling pain, you don't know what is going on. But there's a lot of other symptoms. You bruise very easily. The reason you bruise easily is because your arteries and capillaries are bursting, so you get bruises. You have very thin skin. There are certain facial features sometimes that can be seen with people with vascular Ehlers-Danlos. But the life-threatening parts of it is dissection of the arteries. Sometimes, usually for younger adults, you might see pneumothorax, in that, you have a collapsed lung. You can have colon ruptures because, again, those vessels or that organ, it's a hollow organ, can rupture. Even sometimes in the third trimester, like if you're pregnant, your uterus can rupture. And so those are some of the things that happen. Those are the serious things that happen, and it's very hard in order to get diagnosed with this as children are growing up. And it's a genetic disorder, so you are born with it, but it doesn't have to be inherited from a parent. It can happen spontaneously. So you can have a child affected with this and you wouldn't know until some of those symptoms start coming out, and then you have to investigate. And sometimes that journey to identify it because it's a rare disease can be very long.
Yes, most definitely. And with this being so rare, and we know, and we talk about this a lot on this show, is that, when we fall into those rare diseases, a lot of times all those funding dollars aren't there to do this deep dive of, research so that we can make such great progress, for these
Mhm.
things. And so right now, where is the research at for VEDS?
So we've been, very lucky that this community has gotten a lot of attention from researchers. And when I say a lot, I mean it's a handful of researchers that are really looking into this disorder. And it is because there are no treatments for this disorder. But it is related. And sometimes when you do research on other connective tissues, sort of like Marfan, we can learn from that research to help another form of rare disease that is sort of similar. What we found with VEDS is that it was really a bit more dissimilar than we thought from Marfan. And I think that's because of the collagen gene being affected. And with Marfan, we found that it's not mutations that cause Marfan also affect the connective tissue, but it's not all structural. When you think about it, you think, oh, I'm affecting the structure, it's weak, I'm not going to be able to do anything. But we found that those molecules in the structural components have signaling components, and they can actually cause signaling for growth factors, which end up affecting all parts of the body. And that's how many of these symptoms come out. So, in the past several years, they have developed mouse models to emulate the human condition for vascular Ehlers-Danlos. And they've made two mouse models with two types of mutations, one that would cause a severe form of Marfan syndrome, of VEDS, and one that would cause a more milder form of VEDS. Okay. And they used a mutation that they found in humans and they put it into these mice. And this is a way that they can look at what's causing the disease and how can they interrupt the disease. So the most recent data on this disease is that we have found through two different methods that is involved in what is called a PKC, or protein kinase C pathway, that the mutation affects this PKC pathway that goes awry, and that's where many of these issues are coming from. And so scientists have found, And there are drugs available that can block those pathways. Okay.
Okay.
And so we are in the process. So several experiments have been done in mouse models, and have tested several different types of drugs on this pathway. And what they found is that if they give the severe form of the mouse model a drug that inhibits PKC, and this drug is called enzastaurin, the mice have a dramatic effect in life expectancy. They're not getting those life-threatening ruptures any longer. They live a normal life, okay? And that was a dramatic result from these mouse model experiments, and it was great.
Wow.
But enzastaurin is a drug that is not FDA approved yet, but it's been used for many different cancer trials. It is known that PKC can interfere with those pathways as well. So it's been used up to phase 3 clinical trials, showing safety and efficacy in over 3,000 people. And we now currently have a pharmaceutical company that is interested in using this enzastaurin to test people with VEDS to determine whether it has the ability in the human population, again, to reduce those life-threatening arterial dissections and pneumothorax and all those types of things.
And how many phases? So this drug obviously showing some hope within the mice form, not in human form yet. But how many phases does a drug trial usually go through before they would try it on humans?
Usually, they go, well, that's the it's called the translational research. Okay. It's when you translate research from mouse into humans, and then it becomes clinical.
Okay.
And so they use it in very small trials just for safety,
Mhm.
and do trials just for toxicity. So there are things that those are like phase 1 studies. When you get to the phase 3 studies, you're really looking at it to help determine whether the endpoints that you want to meet, which would be less serious events, can be met. So, and there can be up to 4 phases in trials. So that's why drugs take a very long time getting developed. I mean, some of those can take, up to 20 years in order for
Yes,
that to
I've
be
heard
developed.
that sometimes it's, a lot of times people think it's only, I'm saying a 3-year trial or something, but sometimes it is. It's like, anywhere, a minimum, which I had heard last year is that most things go through a trial for at least like 7 years.
Oh yeah. It depends on your endpoints and how long it takes you to determine the events and all of that. So it depends on the trial, really. It depends on the trial and what you're looking at.
Right. And, looking at that, this is still in the stages, right, of doing all this research and before it can kind of move forward. The VEDS Action Month is so important in driving that awareness. I am assuming for different, funding sources and getting people the information so they know, because, like you said, a lot of people may not even know that they have VEDS.
That is correct. So we do the VEDS Action Month on the anniversary of putting the VEDS movement together. And so the VEDS Action Month is now our 2-year anniversary. We did our first Action Month last year. We do a fundraising event for that we call the Birthday Bash. It's our 2-year birthday. And it's an opportunity for us and for our community to help spread awareness about this disorder because it's so rare. So people have opportunities to tell their stories, to get their Congress people to do proclamations and call it the VEDS, Action Month. We do lots of different activities during the month in order to help raise awareness and help raise funds to support the VEDS movement so that we can continue our work on different programs such as webinars, empowerment series. How do you deal with, coping for parents and looking at different therapies that may be used now and compare things that are being used now to regular treatments. So there are some people that take, for example, vitamin C to help increase the amount of collagen, whether it really works or not. It's a supplement that people try. So
Yeah.
yes, these are the things that we do during VEDS month in order to spread awareness, learn about the disorder in our communities for our physicians worldwide.
So wonderful. And the VEDS movement, because it's thevedsmovement.com is where people can find
.org.
.org. Okay. And we'll drop that below in the link here on social media as well in the podcast.
Mhm.
There, if you are a parent or somebody who feels like they might be experiencing this, being misdiagnosed, whatnot, there is also through the organization, there is all of that support too, as well, where they can get general information directed in the right direction, that sort of thing.
Yes, there's certainly all of that information on the website. We provide a lot of resources. If you're having difficulty getting a diagnosis, we can help with that by providing you with the information for you to go to your physician
Hmm.
in order to get the correct genetic testing, to get the correct clinical evaluation. We have doctors that are listed there that are knowledgeable, and there are several centers within the United States that are very knowledgeable. And if you have the opportunity to go to one of those, that's great. If not, we can work with any physician as long as they're willing to learn about this rare disorder and work with you in order to make sure that you get the care and actually have like an emergency plan in case one of these life-threatening events happen.
Wonderful. Well, I thank you so much for getting up bright and early because I know that you are on the West Coast. So it is bright and early in the morning for you and sharing with us this morning and kicking off our VEDS Action Month. I appreciate you being here so much.
Well, thank you so much. I'm glad to have this opportunity and to help this community.
Yeah, so let's get out there. We're kicking it off today. Today's September 29th. So you guys have 2 days to go visit the website, see the different ways that you can interact and help spread awareness. And that is VEDS Action. No, it's the VEDS. Hold on. Now I feel like Wednesday. It's the vedsmovement.org, and I will drop that below. Thank you all so very much for tuning in this morning and joining us. Thank you, Josephine, for being here with us and getting up so early. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Tammy.
All right, wonderful. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Happy Wednesday.
Bye-bye.
Bye.